Okay, let's continue our topic in quadratic equations and quadratic inequalities. This time I will be discussing solving quadratic equations by factoring. If your quadratic equation looks like this, ax squared plus bx is equal to 0. That means no, I might rather write first the general form. So this is a quadratic equation in general form. When c is equal to 0, then you have ax squared plus bx is equal to 0. And the easiest to solve this kind of equation is by factoring. So if I have x and x there, and I have bx there, as you can see already, then I have a common factor, that is x. So x will be outside the parenthesis. What remains inside the parenthesis is ax plus b is equal to 0. This is the general form. And I will give you a trinomial right later, but you can solve that also with factoring later. Okay, let's see. Let's have an example. For example, 2x squared plus 3x is equal to 0. The common factor is x, as we have seen here, and that remains in the parenthesis is 2x plus 3 is equal to 0. When you have done the factoring, then you have to separate the factors and equal them into 0. So the first factor is x is equal to 0. The other factor is 2x plus 3 is equal to 0. Then solve the equation by subtracting 3 there. This one will be 0. So we have 2x is equal to negative 3. Divide it by 2. Then we have x is equal to negative 1.5. We usually call this x sub 1 and x sub 2. Let's take another example. For example, we have 5x squared plus 2x is equal to 0. As we can see, we have x as your common factor. Then we have 5x for the first term and 2 for the second term. And then we separate the factors. We have x sub 1 is equal to 0. If your equation is in this form, then the first is always equal to 0. The first, the factor, one of the factors is always equal to 0, as you have seen here. X sub 1 is 0. Now here, x sub 1 is 0. And then we have 5x plus 2 is equal to 0. Subtracting both sides by 2, then have that now is 0. 5x is equal to negative 2. Then we divide both sides by 5. I have negative 0.4 or just negative 2/5. If you want another example, okay, 4x minus x squared minus 12x is equal to 0. Common factor, as you can see, is 4x. If you forgot how to factor by common factor, greatest common factor, then go back to Unit 1 in Grade 8. I have a video of those also. Okay, what we have now? The remain in the first term now, which remains is only x, and then the second term we have 3 is equal to 0. Then separate the factors. We have 4x is equal to 0. If you divide both sides by by 4, then you still have x sub 1 is equal to 0. As you've seen there, one of the factors is always 0. And then, or one of the solutions, sorry. One of the solution is 0. X minus 3 is equal to 0. Add both sides by 3. Then we have, this one is 0 now. So x sub 2 is equal to 3. Add there. How about if you have trinomial? Before I'm going to the trinomials, then I will start first with the difference of two squares. For example, we have 4 x squared minus 9 is equal to 0. Then as you can see here, I have 4 is a square. It's look like this. 2 squared x squared minus 9 is equal to 0. Or minus 9 can be expressed in 3 squared. When you have difference of two squares, then we have the sum and difference as a factor. So we have 2x there, we have 2x there, and then we have plus 3 there, and minus 3 there. If you are finished with that, then you can separate. We have 2x plus 3 is equal to 0, and then we have 2x minus 3 is equal to 0. And then we have the minus 3 there, minus 3, this is 0, so we have 2x is equal to negative 3. Divide by 2, divided by 2. Or x sub 1 is equal to negative 1.5. The same is true here. Plus 3 there, plus 3. We have 2x is equal to 3. Divide it by 2, divide it by 2. Then we have x sub 2 is equal to 1.5. Positive and negative. There is another solution for this. We have 4x squared is equal to 9. If we add both sides of the equation by 9, then we have to divide both sides of the equation by 4. And we have x squared is equal to 9 fourth. And then we extract the square root, and then we have x is equal to positive negative 3 half. As you can see here, we have negative 1.5 and positive 1.5. That's another as expressing a square of two binomials. Now we will go if a perfect square. For example, we have x squared plus 2x plus 1 is equal to 0. And the factor of this is always like this. We have x plus 1 squared. If you remember this one, a plus b squared is equal to, we have a squared plus 2ab plus b squared. And we have a minus b squared is equal to a squared minus 2ab plus b squared. So we have this one now. How could I know that that is a perfect square? Because the first is a perfect square. The first term is a perfect square. The last term is also a perfect square. And if I have multiply 1 times x times 2, then I will get 2x. That is equal to 0. And then we extract the square root of both sides. Then we have x plus 1 is equal to 0. And then we have minus 1 there, minus 1. And we have x is equal to negative 1. This one we call double. Double. That's the spelling. I am thinking for the Swedish. Double root. Okay, we have only one root, but they have in the same place, so we call it double root. Okay, let's take more example on perfect square. We have this. We have x squared plus 12mx, I should say, plus 36. As you can see, is equal to 0. This one is 6 squared plus 2 times x times 6. And then this is x squared. As you can see, there is a 2ab there. Here, there is a 2ab. And it's the same here also. So if that's the case, then we have x plus 6 in a parenthesis squared is equal to 0. Taking or extracting the square root of both sides, then we have x plus 6 is equal to 0. Minus 6 there, minus 6 there. Then we have x sub 1, which is also equal to x sub 2 is equal to negative 6. Another example is 16x squared minus 24x plus 9 is equal to 0. If I have 3 squared there, and then we have 4 squared x squared, then my middle term, or the second term, should be 2 times 4 times x times 3. It should be 24. So 12 times 2 is 24. Good. So I have negative 2ab there, as in this pattern, negative 2ab. So this is a perfect square trinomial. So I have 4x minus 3 because it is a negative 2 there. Parenthesis square is equal to 0. Then we have extracting the square root of both sides. Then we have 4x minus 3 is equal to 0. Adding both sides by 3. This is 0. We have 4x is equal to 3 divided by 4 divided by 4. Then we have x is equal to x sub 1 is equal to x sub 2 is equal to, what happened now? Sorry for that. X sub 1 is equal to x sub 2 is equal to 3/4 or 0.75. That's it when it is a perfect square trinomial. A perfect square trinomial, yeah, perfect square trinomial. And then general trinomial by factoring, we will do that later in my next video.